Okay, let's do a little diagnosis as we consider each of the symptoms listed below. Ask yourself, to what degree has this symptom of selfishness infected me? The four symptoms are immaturity, time choices, insensitivity, and stubbornness. Immaturity, start with that one first. Joe Beth and I dated for more than 6 years before we got married. In hindsight, I believe that whatever we felt for each other on the day we married had more in common with puppy love than with genuine, mature love. We had to start growing up. 55 years later, the process continues. What do I mean by puppy love? Puppy love is an immature form of love, of the love dynamic that binds two people together. When we in puppy love, we want to be with a person because of how he or she makes us feel. In puppy love, our emotion and physical needs take a central place in the relationship. We push aside anyone who doesn't satisfy and gratify our needs. Many of us start with puppy love. Nothing wrong with that. It can be fun and enjoyable, but unless puppy love grows into mature love, the marriage will struggle and may not survive the trying times. And if you build your marital relationship on puppy love, you'll end up living a dog's life. Consider the contrast between puppy love and mature love in the following chart. Well, puppy love goes like this: focuses on receiving, impatient, self centered, tends to outbursts of anger, self protective because it exists, because it insists on meeting its needs above all. The contrast to that is mature love. Mature love seeks to give to the other person, patient in spite of the other's flaws, responds gently and appropriately to irritants, transparent and vulnerable. The answer to the problem of puppy love is maturity, and that means living, as Paul put it in Ephesians 5:15, with wisdom towards each other. We are to live and conduct our marriages as mature men and women in Christ. Unfortunately, however, far too many of us never grow beyond immaturity in either our marriage or our spiritual lives. While Jesus tells us to be childlike, immature people remain childish. Sociologists and psychologists agree that America suffers a crisis of fatherhood partly because so many men never grow beyond adolescence. Their bodies age, their minds still thinks like immature kids. Men and women too experiment constantly with new ways to satisfy their desires. But even the most immature can acquire wisdom as they study and embrace God's principles. Joe Beth and I had a lot of growing up to do when we married. Though we are now grandparents, we are still growing in individuals and in our relationship. And I can honestly say that growing and maturing together has yielded a life even more exciting and rewarding than those early days of puppy love. The Apostle Paul tells us to redeem our time. Literally, we are to buy up all the opportunities time can bring us. I enjoy playing golf. So whenever I get the opportunity, I visit a nearby course to play or at least hit some practice balls. I become casually acquainted with a man who seems to be hitting golf balls at the practice range every time I show up. Unless by some great coincidence he just happens to arrive at At the course, when I am there, he apparently spends a great deal of time golfing. It seems as though he is already there whenever I arrive, and it is still there when I leave. He must hit hundreds of balls every day. I can't help but wonder, how does this man spend his time? Does he have a neglected wife and kids at home waiting for their husband and father to return from the golf course? One man recently told me, I struggle with selfishness in my marriage in the area of leisure time. I grew up loving sports and would spend hours watching it on television. During during the first several years of my marriage, I noticed that many of my evenings were spent not with my wife, but with ESPN. Because this young man did not want to be selfish, he made a tough choice. He decided to get rid of cable, and he called it one of the best decisions he's ever made for his marriage. How much time could men could we men gain to spend quality time with our wives if only we could turn off the television? I have to confess, I can channel surf with the best of them, especially when it comes to sports and news networks. But I'm convinced men that if we were just turn off the TV, we will have the opportunity to gain more joy and increase intimacy with our wives. It's easy to spend our time on our careers, hobbies, and avocations and other self gratifying activities, all at the expense of our marriages. I can't begin to tell you the number of people I've known whose marriages have suffered because one or both partners become too busy to make time for the relationship. The husband and the wife seem to inhabit different worlds. They live together, yet never took the time for each other. The best of that either could hope for from the other was leftovers. Think about leftovers that are in your refrigerator right now. How eager are you to enjoy them? Leftover food rarely makes a first rate meal, and leftover time rarely creates a fulfilling relationship. I'll be back.